Sorry, I really wish there was a way to like before you actually say go live to actually look at what it's seeing so that you can do all this fun stuff ahead of time. There we go. Okay. Hi, it's me. Um, so last night Benji and I were watching something about George Carver, Washington, and um, I didn't get to see all of it. I got called away into another room for a few minutes. But the idea is applying the theory, how the bad became good. So, for anybody who doesn't know, he was kidnapped. He and his mother were kidnapped. They were slaves, and they were kidnapped um, when he was a baby. And the slave owner, this is the original slave owner, I believe. Don't quote me on anything. Like I said, a little in and out, Benji bouncing around. You don't catch everything, okay? But I believe that the slave owner uh, had people go out looking for them. And they found George. He was a baby. He was near death, but they didn't find mom. And there isn't anything more said about the people who had kidnapped them either. Anyway, so they brought him back, and again, don't quote me, but I believe that they nursed him back to health, but he wasn't strong enough to work in the field, so they kept him in the house. Um, as he grew older, he went outside and somehow something about neighbor. He went to a neighbor's and saw them painting. So then he went out in nature and he found things that he could use, that he could turn into paint. He made his own brushes with sticks and twigs and whatnot, and made his own paints from plants and nature, as people do. And he started painting, and then went away to school. He was turned down because no blacks were allowed. So then he found a school where he could go to. Blah 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 blah. The rest is history, right? Okay. And then he ended up helping people later on with the farming. Blah blah blah. All the rest is history. Now, so what? Where do I come in? Okay, this is where we come in. It was sad that he was kidnapped, but it made his brain, from a very young age, always looking for mommy, always searching for mommy. So when he did things, you can actually see it, like when you're dissecting something, like he dissected nature in order to make his paints. Jerry, one moment, please. No, those are not yours. Do not chew those. No. Those actually should be put up with the Christmas stuff. So that's not entirely your fault, then, cat. Anyway, sorry. Okay, let's see here. He was dissecting nature. He was taken apart to make his paints. I don't know the full process when it comes to making paints from nature, but boiling things down, just like he did with the peanuts later on, and got the oils from them, like oil paint. You see how that comes into play later on with the peanuts and everything. So again, this is going to sound like, so I have to have something bad happen to me in order for me to strive higher than I normally would. Well, no, not necessarily, but you see how this actually was beneficial for him because of that happening to him and his brain trying to make sense of it. He kept searching. He didn't give up. He kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And you can see when he's dissecting nature to get the oil paints, to make the paint for his painting. And then later on with the peanuts. And, there's just this difference. If he had not been kidnapped, he would have grown up, most likely, he would have been on the fields working. So he would have maybe been still, he would have still become a nature loving fella, but not quite to the degree that he became, where he was actually dissecting nature. He most likely would have been more tired. He would have lived a more, we'll say not out living outside the box type of life. He would have worked in the fields. He would have gotten older. He would have gotten, involved with someone, had children, a family, the whole 9 yards. But instead, because of that happening to him, his brain was always searching for mom. And so then he would dissect things. He would take things apart. He wouldn't give up, like in that sense. Jerry, get down. Get down. He's messing with Benji's trains again. Anyway, so had he not been kidnapped, he would have probably been working in the fields instead of the house. Being a boy working in the house, I mean, it wasn't, unheard of, but typically it was more females work in the house and males work outside the house in the fields. So he probably wasn't expected to do quite the same jobs that the females were. So it may have given him extra time to be out in nature. Sam? Oh, there's a bag at the top of the steps, like a Kroger bag, Walmart bag, a gray bag, and it's got lots of little plastic figurines in it. Is that something that's supposed to be for Benji? Just when you get a chance, take a look at it and then just message me and let me know. He got some paints. He wants to paint things. Anything. So anyway, but because of his frailty, I probably, there's no way of knowing for sure if it was because of him being sick or if he naturally would have been a little bit more frail, whether he had gotten, sick near death because of being kidnapped or whatever. But because of that, he wasn't out in the fields. So he might have still been into nature, like I said, but I don't think he would have gone up like he did. I don't think he would have dissected nature. Losing, it doesn't say anything about his father, only his mother. Or at least I didn't hear anything. Like I said, Benji bouncing around. But you can see that. You can see the dissecting of nature. This is something that I've noticed in some of the people that have contributed to our world as a whole. American, non-American, all the above, just the world in general. There seems to be a particular type of dissecting going on. And a lot of times that's because of a trauma that involves like something involving the instinctual brain, like in his case, his mother, and maybe even his father as well. I don't know the story about his father at all. Probably should look it up. That would be a good idea, right? Is it going to happen? Probably not. I've got enough information, my brain says. I watched the show enough. Anyway, that's George Washington Carver. And we're going to end the stream because I'm actually going to make my phone call to the White House in a few minutes here. Wish me luck. I'm going to need it.